Oh my god, I'm wearing a beartooth band shirt but it says ear toot. This is just a wrap up. How did it become such a mess? I am laughing.
Usually I make my little beginning segments super short, but I have some thoughts, so we're just gonna go through all of them. First thought is I have moved my camera farther back so you can see more of my bookshelf, and we're just gonna deal with it for this video and see if I like that view. But I don't like that you can see all of my textbooks and notebooks that I've been collecting over there. I have not thrown away a single notebook, textbook, workbook, piece of paper, little scrap, post-it note since probably like 3rd grade. I literally hoard every single academic related paper. I have maybe 1, 2, 3, I have 4 different areas and containers where I have them all stored down here or up here. I guess I'm upstairs in my room. So yeah, that's the first thing on my mind. Second of all, it is about 10:30 p.m. I wanted to film this not at 10:30 p.m., but I woke up today at 8, went to class, and then I just slept. I just slept the entire day. I tend to do that every single day. Science side of Tumblr, please explain. I cannot help it, so that's that. And now I will be awake during the night because I am a night owl, and that's great, but also unfortunate because I have classes 8 a.m. every single day, so that's fun. Let's see what else is on my mind. Oh, also, again, it's 10:30. For some reason, I spent probably like 45 minutes putting on makeup for this video. I do not know why. I probably will only be I can't even speak now. I probably will only be filming this video for like 20-25 minutes. So I probably will spend more time taking off the makeup plus the time it took me to put it on than I will film. So that is unfortunate. Also, it kind of looks scary. Oh my gosh, you can't, it's not blended. Don't even look. Never mind, don't look at it. Back in the day when I used to wear this shirt, I've not worn it in a long time. I used to do my makeup and it would match the colors of my shirt. And I tried to do that again and it did not turn out great. This is not blended. I'm so bothered. Oh my god. And yeah, can you tell I just woke up because I'm just rambling? It's already 2.5 minutes into filming and I have not stopped talking. Is that it? Oh no, I have more thoughts. The thoughts actually related to this video are I keep saying I will not be doing wrap-up videos anymore because no one ever watches my wrap-up videos, but guess what? Here we are filming another wrap-up video, and it would probably be nice if I just went up into the wrap-up video and stopped talking because, yeah, I mean, like, I would still be talking during the wrap-up video, but, like, about books. I'm rambling now. I'm gonna stop. Okay, to the video. Wait, I forgot to mention one thing. Also not important, but I'd just like to bring your attention to the fact that I am wearing a teacher cardigan, a $5 Hot Topic t-shirt, earrings from the Dollar Tree, and pajama pants and fluffy reindeer socks. So yeah, just in case you're interested. Hello, my name is Elise, and this is going to be my wrap-up for January. January was surprisingly not the worst reading month for me. I thought it was going to be terrible since school started, and also just, yeah, because my reading months have not been great recently. But I actually read a lot. I think I read 14 books. Maybe one of those was a graphic novel, I think. And there's quite a few audiobooks. I haven't been listening to audiobooks recently because I just have been listening to music. I don't know, I go on and off with how much I like audiobooks, but this month, well, technically last month in January, I listened to so many audiobooks because I discovered knitting, and I just would knit nonstop and listen to audiobooks. So yeah, that was very productive, but also now my neck and back hurts from terrible posture. But yeah, let's go over all of the books I read, and yeah, they were very mixed, and you will see that in this video. Let's get to it. So we are starting off this wrap-up with a solid 1.5 stars. That's actually a pretty generous rating. I should have given this book 1 star because I hated it. I really struggled to read it, but I finished it and I felt like I needed to feel like it was worth finishing. I think I bumped up my score to 2 stars in Goodreads, but literally this was a 1 star read for me. It was Plain Bad Heroines. I know a lot of people were looking forward to this book, and I know a lot of people loved it. I was ready to love it. I was ready to enjoy it. I did not at all. I actually got a NetGalley ARC of it, which I was very happy about, and I downloaded it when I got the ARC, which was in October, and I did not finish it until January. I actually had to read the NetGalley ARC, a library book, and an audiobook. I had to get scribed 2 or 3 months so I could finish this book and listen to the audiobook. I don't even know where to start. It wasn't bad because of the writing. The writing was great. The writing was very detailed and kind of artsy and creative. I will give the author that. But the pacing was horrendous. This book was over 600 pages, if I recall correctly, and I already don't really like long books. But if you're gonna make a long book, I think you have to make every page count, because if you're not gonna cut down your book to just the most important parts, then every page I think should matter, or at least keep the reader's interest. But I could not stand the pacing of this book. It dragged on forever. I cannot tell you what it's about because I literally just was reading over such a long time, and yeah, it just was not fortunate that I spent so much time reading it. Yeah. Okay, that's my first rant of this wrap up. Hopefully the rest of the books are much shorter for me. Let me just condense my thoughts on Plain Bad Heroines really quickly because this video is already a mess. Why am I already 8 minutes into filming when I'm only talking about the first book? I don't know. Slow pacing, I didn't care about the characters. It was supposed to be like a horror book and it did not feel horror to me. And yeah, I did not know what was going on because it was so boring. Yeah. The second book I listened to was called Saigon, a Misfits Memoir of Great Books, Punk Rock, and the Fight to Fit In. This is a book about immigration to the United States and that idea of kind of two cultures clashing and the fight between wanting to connect with his parents but also not really connecting with his parents and all of that. I've read many memoirs about racism and immigration before, so that was familiar to me and I thought that aspect was interesting, but the part of this memoir that I really enjoyed was just the fact that it mentioned punk rock and loving academics and just the coming of age aspect of it. I have read many memoirs and I've not really seen this aspect of life represented in books, and it was something I really related to and that was fun to read about. As someone who is Asian and loves punk rock, it was really nice to see someone who's also Asian talking about punk rock because that's usually a very white-dominated genre. So that was really cool. Again, not the main focus of the book, but that's what I really enjoyed about it. And I also liked that the author kept mentioning that he loved to learn. That's not really cool. You know, people don't like admitting they like school. And as someone who also really likes to learn, I thought that was really cool. And especially that juxtaposition, there we go, I'm just gonna leave that in the video, especially that juxtaposition of liking punk rock, which is supposed to be like rebellious and all of that, but also really liking learning, which is kind of seen as, I don't know, like following the rules. I don't know, I thought that was really cool and it was something I related to. The third book is another memoir I listened to called Shrill Notes from a Loud Woman. And this was about Lindy West, who, if I remember correctly, is both a journalist and a comedian. And I didn't know this when I went into the book. I knew that it was about this woman's experience with being fat in America and all of the criticism she's gotten because of her body and about self-acceptance and all of that. I've read many books on that topic before, but what I thought was so unique about this book was it was written in this humor kind of way, and I'm not used to reading books that incorporate humor, and it was actually a little strange for me to get into because I'm not used to humor and it's really not my thing, and I just kind of thought it was going to take away from the book because I prefer books that are more serious, but I ended up loving it so much. I really thought the tone of the humor was balanced really nicely with the otherwise very heavy topics in this book. I would really recommend this if you are looking for a memoir because it's something that is definitely probably on the different side of memoirs with the way it was written, and I thought that was a really refreshing break from all the other memoirs I've read. Next is Shadow and Bone. I'm sure all of you have heard of this book. If you haven't, it's a young adult fantasy book. Super popular back in the early 2010s, and it's become really popular again because it's becoming a Netflix show. If you have not heard already, my copy of my book is so nicely It reminded me that it's going to be a Netflix show. I hate when books do that. But anyway, I did not read this back when it was super popular, so I finally started reading it now because, I don't know, I've just seen so much about the Shadow and Bone TV show, and I was hoping I'd really like it, and it was okay. It was pretty mediocre for me. I'm usually not one who enjoys fantasy, especially young adult fantasy. I don't know, just not my favorite, and I thought this one was enjoyable, but it was way too fast-paced for me, and I didn't really care too much about any of the characters or the plot for that point. Yeah, just 3 stars, mediocre. I'll still finish the series, but definitely did not blow me away, and I'm still not as excited as most people for the TV show, but maybe I'll get there. The next book was another memoir I listened to as an audiobook. It was called Beautiful Boy, A Father's Journey Through His Son's Addiction. You might have heard of this book through the movie, which came out, I think, a few years ago, and stars, oh my gosh, I've never said his name out loud and I don't know how to pronounce it, and you all are going to hate me for it. Timothy Chalamet. I don't know if that's how you say his name. I usually just write Timothy Sham and then do a keyboard smash. So yeah, but anyway, I watched the movie first and I was really interested in the story. It is about a father and he has a son who becomes very addicted to drugs, and this results in homelessness, very destructive behavior, some very serious conflict with his family members, some potential endangerment of his siblings, many attempts to go to rehab that fail, and it is very heavy, very dark. And it is based off of a true story. So I did read the book because I thought the movie was very well done. And the memoir was just as great as the movie. It is definitely, as you can imagine with a book about addiction, a serious book. So just keep that in mind if you do not want to read something like that. And I've not read many memoirs before about a father reflecting on his relationship with his son. It's usually about a person reflecting on their own experiences when I read memoirs. I mean, this is about a father reflecting on his own experiences, but you could see how much he loved his son, and I just thought it was very, very well done, and I was listening to it while I was knitting. So just imagine me knitting away at my hats or whatever and listening to this and being very sad. Next is Everywhere You Don't Belong. This book is marketed as an adult book, I'm pretty sure, but I would classify it more as new adult, and I think those who like YA would also enjoy it. It's about a boy who lives on the south side of Chicago, and at a young age he was abandoned by his parents, so he grows up with his grandma, and there's just a lot of things in his neighborhood that are impacting his mental health. There's drugs and gangs, and a riot happens, and there's police brutality, and just a lot, and the main character, Claude, just does not want to deal with this anymore, so he has this plan that he's going to leave his town in the south side of Chicago, and he's going to go off to college in another state, far away from his hometown. And he does end up doing that, but he realizes that maybe college away in a different state isn't that much different from his hometown. So it's about self-discovery, coming of age, and discovering what it means to be a Black man in America. This book was pretty hard-hitting, as you could probably tell from the topics I just mentioned, but it was written in a format that I am not used to. It was written in narrative format, but there was a lot of reflection in the book and going back between timelines, and there was some, maybe, I don't know how to describe it, like the conversations weren't that realistic, and maybe some of the way things were written wasn't very realistic, but I think that was a stylistic choice just to show like where the character was at that time mentally. So I thought that was really interesting and I enjoyed it. I would recommend this. Again, I think this could be appealing to quite a few different age groups because even though it was technically an adult book, it goes through this kid's childhood all the way through college. Next is Every Single Lie, and I've mentioned this in at least one, maybe 2 of my videos already. This was my first 5-star read of the year. I loved it so much. It was a young adult thriller / mystery, and I don't read too many of those books, but every time I do, I end up really enjoying them. But it is about a girl who is skipping school one day, but this day that she skips school, she remembers she has a test to take. So she runs back to school just for that period to take the test. But when she returns to school, she accidentally finds this duffel bag. And when she opens the duffel bag, or like goes by the duffel bag, she sees that there is a dead infant in the duffel bag. This totally changes the main character's life. She has to call her coach in, and then the police get involved, and now there's all this drama about whose baby is this and was it murdered. However, the main character, her name is Beckett, is being blamed for this infant. People are saying that Beckett is the one who this baby belongs to and that she murdered her own child. And this explodes all over the place. There's people in her school who are blaming her. There's people all over her town, and it even erupts all over social media. So all around, Beckett is getting all of this hate for supposedly murdering her own child. This was already a lot when I read the book. I mean, I thought that was such a unique concept and definitely kept my attention every single page. But also there were so many other great aspects to this book that didn't just focus on the thrill. There were so many comments and conversations about cyberbullying, friendship, family, checking on other people and their mental health, and I just thought it worked so well for this book, and also for the thrill part, for the thriller. I was totally surprised at the end, which was great, and just every part of this book was wonderful. Next is This Winter, which is a little novella from Alice Oseman, and I thought it was pretty good. It was very short because it is a novella. I have read her other novella, I cannot remember what it's called, but I really didn't like it that much. But This Winter was cute. It was about Nick and Charlie, and also the other character, Tori, and yeah, I thought it was good. It was entertaining for the little short bit that it was. This next book is another book that really just blew me away. It is another YA thriller slash mystery called One of the Good Ones. And this is a book that really caught me off guard because I thought it was just a normal young adult contemporary book. And it starts off this way. It's about these three sisters, and one of the sisters is super socially active, and she has a YouTube channel, and she's always trying to talk about these social issues and racism, and she's super popular. Everyone knows who she is, and one day she decides to go to this protest. Everyone in her family tells her not to go to the protest because it's probably not going to be safe, and of course it ends up not being safe, and this girl, Kedzie, ends up being arrested. Except when she is taken to jail, something happens. There's this incident and she ends up dying in jail. So the first half of the book is about the grief that the other sisters are feeling towards their sister, and they're going off on a road trip to kind of keep her in their memory, and it's all nice and sweet. I mean, it's very sad, but yeah, it's just like a normal contemporary in that way. But then it morphs into like a thriller mystery, and that's all I want to say because it really caught me off guard. But yeah, it's super good, and the ending was so shocking, and I would 100% recommend this. The next book is called At the Edge of the Hate, and this is another book that was marketed as adult, but I think if you like new adult or maybe even young adult, this would probably still be appealing to you. It is about a girl named Maddie, and she is homeless in San Francisco, and one day she's walking with her dog, and while they're on this walk, they accidentally witness the murder of another homeless boy. This incident totally turns around Maddie's world, and she is all of a sudden, after living a very quiet life, all of a sudden people are trying to talk to her and want to know what she saw and what happened, and all these questions and all these people, and it's completely different than how Maddie was living before. This is kind of affecting her relationship with herself and her friends and even her family, who she hasn't really seen. And I thought this was really good at describing homelessness because I haven't really read many books on that topic, and I think the author actually talked with homeless young adults to write this book, which I thought was great. And I would definitely recommend this if you like mysteries that are on the quieter side. It is a mystery. I wouldn't really call it a thriller, even though it does deal with murder, but it's more focused on the characters and the events that happen to them. Okay, so I might be wearing a Hot Topic shirt of a metalcore band right now. It's Beartooth, in case anyone was wondering. But my next book was the official autobiography of One Direction. I listened to this as an audiobook. Yeah, let me just do my little summary as a book reviewer. It was terrible. I again listened to the audiobook, but the narration was done by each of the members of One Direction, and my goodness, they are definitely not official audiobook narrators. It was messy, Every chapter was for a different member of the band, and every chapter literally just talked about the same things over and over again, but just by a different person. And there was like rustling noises of paper in the background. You heard like glasses clinking, or you heard the other boys trying to not laugh. It was a mess, and I couldn't believe that an actual publishing company would release that as an audiobook. But as someone who likes One Direction, I thought it was wonderful. I thought all of the terrible imperfections of the audiobook was endearing. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. It was very fun. I laughed out loud many times, but as an official audiobook, my goodness, they were not great at their jobs, but you know, that's what made it sweet. Next is a little tiny graphic novel called Noise. It was literally only like 20 or 30 pages. It looks like it was more geared towards middle grade. Seriously, very minimal words. I read it in maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, but it was very cute. It starts off very, I don't know how to describe it, like basic, simple, and then there's a little twist at the end that I thought was adorable. Yeah, it was only a couple pages, but I thought it was cute. The next book is called What They Always Tell Us. I read this back in probably 2016, so this was a reread, but this is one of my favorite books ever. It's a very, very quiet, simple, young adult contemporary, but that's what I love so much about it. It's about two brothers. One is named James. He's the stereotypical party guy who gets all the girls and all of that, and he has a brother named Alex. Alex is known for being the outcast, and he actually tried to commit suicide at a party last year in the book. So after that happened, no one really wanted to talk to Alex, and his brother didn't want to talk to him either, and it was just a mess for poor Alex. So this book is pretty much about those two brothers trying to repair their relationship and understand each other, and I really enjoy both of the separate stories between these two brothers. One of them, James, he's trying to discover what he actually wants with his relationships and who he is, and is he a nice person, all of that. And then my favorite is Alex. He's discovering what he wants to, and he meets a new friend who becomes a lot more than a friend, and they deal with a lot of internal feelings and homophobia and all of that. I really like this book. I love quiet books about friendship and relationships and siblings. And then the last book I'm not going to say too much about because I think I'm going to do an actual video review. Let me know if that sounds interesting to you. Otherwise I won't do it. Well, actually I'll probably do it anyways. But it was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I didn't think I was going to read this book. I don't like anything that this book is. It's historical fiction. It's also kind of contemporary too, based on the timeline you're reading. It's fantasy, it's adult, it's paranormal, I guess. I don't know. I hate all of that. I never read that kind of stuff. And yeah, I read it anyways. I read it for one of my book clubs, and I ended up really liking it. Again, not going to say much, but just a tiny little summary of my thoughts. I really loved the writing. It was very creative, very atmospheric. I don't know if that's the right word to describe it, but I loved the characters. I loved the tiny little relationship going on. I know it's not supposed to be a romance, and yeah, I just thought it was all great, except I know there is some criticisms of Addie LaRue's perception of history and whiteness and all that, but yeah, if I ever get around to filming my review of it, I will mention that. And that was the end of this wrap up. I think it was 14 books, and I'm sorry that probably at least half of this video was me just rambling at the beginning, but I don't know, that happens on this channel. You're gonna have to appreciate it. But thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye. Stop screaming! Stop screaming, dude! It's 10:30! Okay, so I'm literally done filming. I mean, like, no lighting or anything. I'm sitting in bed right now, but I'm just thinking about the fact that I literally only look nice between the hours of 10 p.m. and midnight, because that's when I film. And I just think that's so sad because none of my classmates know what I look like without bedhead and blanket marks on my face, and that's just tragic.